Good morning and welcome to Sports Central, brought to you live and exclusive from Spectrum Television, all the way from the hills of Ipiakure in Gotun State, Akwa Ibom. My name is Mfono Bongiti and I'm quite excited to be back on your screens yet again. It's Thursday and the weekend is getting closer. We're getting closer to lots of activities in the world of sport already. We're talking about a report from the basketball scene in the country where it's currently chaotic as other factions are beginning to petition the Nigerian Basketball Federation about the current administration staying longer than expected. We'll also touch Formula One, where Lando Norris is beginning to promise fans of Formula One that they're definitely going to see a more exciting Formula One season in 2026. In the NBA, the threat season is getting even stronger. Anthony Davis, after spending 3 months with the Dallas Mavericks, has finally been traded away from the side again. Remember that blockbuster deal that sends Luka Doncic to the LA Lakers and took Anthony Davis to the Dallas Mavericks? Well, didn't last long, did it? We'll take a look at all these stories and even more on the show today. Remember, you can follow us on all social media handles. Head to Facebook, go to X, formerly known as Twitter, go to TikTok as well, and hit the follow button on Spectrum TV Live. You do well to connect with us. We'll take just a quick breather. When we're back, sport wrap up in full. I will start with local stories. Charity begins at home, they say so. Nigeria's basketball administration has been plunged into uncertainty after Congress members of the Nigeria Basketball Federation petitioned the International Basketball Federation seeking formal approval for fresh elections and accusing the board of illegally remaining in office beyond its constitutional tenure. In the petition signed by Maxwell Kumoye on behalf of Nigeria's basketball stakeholders, the Congress members warned against allowing what they described as beneficiaries of illegality to profit from the crisis, invoking provisions of the NBBF constitution which recognize FIBA as the supreme authority for global basketball. The Congress members have asked the world governing body to intervene. They are seeking a formal declaration that the president and board have exceeded their tenure, as well as authorization for the National Sports Commission and the Nigeria Olympic Committee to conduct fresh elections for the 2026 to 2030 board under the 2019 Constitution. The petitioners, drawn from states basketball associations and other statutory members, described Congress as the supreme organ of the Federation and insisted that the current leadership no longer enjoys constitutional legitimacy. Now to tennis, where Stan Wawrinka made history at the Open Occitanie yesterday with a 7-6, 6-4 win over Hamad Medvedev in the opening round. The 40-year-old, competing in his final season on tour, became the oldest man to record a tour-level win indoors outside the Davis Cup since Ken Rosewall, who did it in Melbourne in 1980. The Swiss relied on his experience in his maiden ATP head-to-head meeting against 22-year-old Medvedev. He won 83% of his first serve points, cruising to victory in 1 hour and 38 minutes. He fended off 80% of the break points he faced, including a crucial save at 5-all in the opening set. He will next meet defending champion Felix Auger-Aliassime in the next round of the competition. Now to the WTA scene, where Emma Raducanu fought back from 5-love down in the first set to beat Slovenia's Kaja Juvan in the last 16 in the Transylvania Open in Romania. In the second match since splitting with coach Francis Roig, Raducanu won 11 games in a row on the way to securing a 7-5, 6-1 victory. She will play Poland's Maja Szolinska in the quarterfinals. Raducanu has been on the brink of losing the opening set against Juvan, but a cross-court forehand winner helped her break in the 6th game, and she finally got on the scoreboard. And improving Raducanu, who is the top seed at the WTA 250 event, broke twice more to level at 5-0, as world number 97 Juvan failed to serve out for the set on 3 occasions. On to the speed lanes of Formula One, where world champion Lando Norris says he expects more chaos in races this year as a result of the new rules introduced to Formula One. The sport has its biggest regulation change in history, with engines, chassis, fuel, and tires all subject to new requirements. Energy management of the battery will be a central feature, with engines that now have more of their total power output provided by the electrical hybrid element. The McLaren driver said the use of the new boost button, which gives an extra burst of electrical energy, and the effect that has on the battery state of charge will be central to the new format of Formula One. Norris bears in his early assessment of the cars on the shakedown test that was held in Barcelona last week. There are two further 3-day pre-season tests in Bahrain over the next 2 weeks, starting on the 11th of February. He says the new engines and the need to manage energy could lead to drivers swapping positions more often. Now to football, where Manchester City booked a tantalizing Carabao Cup final against Premier League leaders Arsenal by hammering holders Newcastle 5-1 on aggregate in a one-sided semi-final. Trailing 2-0 heading into the second leg, Eddie Howe's side needed something special in Wednesday's return game at Etihad Stadium, but endured the worst possible start as Omar Mamouch's 6th-minute goal set City on their way to a 10th final in the competition. The visitors had chances to hit back, but James Trafford did brilliantly to smooth out the ball at the feet of both Joe Willock and Anthony Gordon, and those near misses proved severe as they were punished by City thereafter. Mamouche headed in from close range on the half-hour mark, and Rangers slotted in a loose ball before halftime to make certain of the tie and allow the home supporters to enjoy a stress-free second period. Anthony Elanga pulled the goal back for Newcastle on 62nd minute with a fine calling effort, and Harvey Barnes had another goal disallowed. But the damage had long been done as Pep Guardiola's side confirmed their place in the League Cup final on Sunday the 22nd of March at Wembley Stadium. That's all the top stories we have for you on Sport Wrap Up this morning, but that's not all we have for you on the show, so you do well to stick around and find out more. We'll be right back.
Hello, good morning and welcome to another interesting day of action. Talk about sport activities across the globe. It is Sport Central returning on your screens to look at all of the exciting stories from not just the world of football, world of tennis, talk about, of course, track and field, and we'll also look at what's trending, particularly in the Nigeria Premier Football League. I am Mutube David and I'm so delighted to return. I'll be doing this with the usual suspects in Itina, also being part of the show this fine morning. Good morning to you. Another time to be back.
Excited to be back.
Well, let's quickly start off the conversation from the world of football. Not usually we talk about football first, but this morning we'll be starting off with football, and it has to do with the Nigeria Premier Football League. We actually had a game on Monday that should have actually summed up another match week that started off on Sunday. But all of the matches went as planned until one game that involved Kun Khalifat FC, and that has been the game that has been on the lips of many for a very long time since we had that particular conversation. Well, Kun Khalifat FC, the story is that they couldn't honor their last game away from home. And before then, there have also been reports that Kun Khalifat FC wrote to the NPFL board side, of course, requesting the NPFL board to reschedule their game due to financial constraints. They couldn't, of course, travel as I'd expected. Well, after, of course, the home side waited at the home pitch for a long time and Kun Khalifat were not there present, of course, the game was being given to the home side. 3 points and 3 goals were being given to the home side in that particular game. I'm talking about Al Kanami Warriors. Well, the NPFL board actually met over the course of yesterday and sanctioned Kun Khalifat FC by giving the home side Al Kanami Warriors 3 points and 3 goals, and further also sanctioning Kun Khalifat FC with 10 million naira. But now they were actually given about 24 hours to respond to that particular sanction. But Kun Khalifat, upon responding, have officially said they will withdraw from the Nigeria Premier Football League this season. That's a conversation. It has actually gotten a whole lot of persons talking about the level of professionalism in the Nigeria Premier Football League, how sustainable the league has been so far with privately owned teams, and how can we have these private investors coming into the league and, of course, ensure that they actually stay in the league for a long time without running into debt. Well, that's, of course, what happened just yesterday, and many are actually criticizing the NPFL at the moment. Initially, we had this conversation at the start of the season where there were reports that Kun Khalifat won't be able to be part of the NPFL due to financial issues. It looked like they will be selling their slots, but before the start of the season, they couldn't just sell the slots and they had to continue. And here we are now, a league of 20. With this report now, we'll be having just 19 teams. What do you make of all of these situations?
I think it's sad. We already knew this is going to happen at some point. Remember the first game, before the first game of the season, we had Kun Khalifat coming out to ask for financial support, stating reasons that they'll not be able to see out the whole season with the financial situation at the club, and it was very sad because some would expect that this particular team, be it as a non-government owned side, they'll be able to at least navigate the waters of the NPFL for quite some time. But it's not really been so for them. It's quite sad to see them getting withdrawn from the NPFL. It just shows the state of Nigeria, not just the football scene in Nigeria. It shows the state of Nigeria. We're having businesses closed down, all of that. So it's a ripple effect from the government for me. I think it's just that things are not working well. So when things are not working well, it affects all facets of the country. It affects every aspect of the country, and I think it's just a ripple effect on the football scene, which happens to be Kun Khalifat FC now. It's quite sad. A team is saying they don't have the financial strength to compete in the league. You're asking them to pay a fine of 10 million naira. I wonder whose decision was that, because it doesn't even make sense. A team does not have money to travel to see another game in another state, which is less than 10 million. You're not asking the team to pay 10 million. It's fine. It doesn't even make sense to me. I just hope that at the end of it, we get to have reconciliation of all parties involved in this. Kun Khalifat, the Nigerian Football Federation, the Nigerian Sports Commission, and all of that, because if we lose this team now, if the team gets disbanded properly, we're going to be having just one private-owned team in the NPF for that realm of stars, and it's very sad. We need to have more private-owned individuals coming in to, navigate the waters of the Nigerian football scene.
Well, that's what it is at the moment. So we're just looking at not 20 but 19 Premier League clubs that are left in the league. That's if Queen Khalifat won't be part of the next match day. There have been series of conversations. How do we support privately owned teams? What exactly is wrong going even forward? Not just privately owned teams, but the entire body of the Nigeria Premier Football League. Because yesterday, we actually had, not in the papers this morning, but we had that Enyimba players, yes, were training in a primary school. And why are they doing that? It is solely down to the fact that they are being owed indemnities. And the Kano Wanko-led management team have actually been question marks about how exactly they are treating the Enyimba players. That's what we had yesterday, and we just hope all of these will also be put aside. At the point we're also talking about the quality of the league on the continent of Africa, we're still having these issues that looks addressable, but at the moment we haven't addressed it. It's our situation, right? They won't dwell much on it. We'll also leave and talk about another conversation. It has to do with a transfer. Last week we talked about the lanky defender, talk about Olisenda, former Akwa United defender, officially leaving Orlando Pirates, yes, by mutual consent. Well, we hear just this morning that Olisenda, the Super Eagles defender, has joined Libyan outfit Al Shamour. Yeah, the man moved on a free transfer after severing ties with his former club side. Talk about African giants Orlando Pirates late last month. But we hear that the centre-back has signed a 1.5-year deal with Al Shamour. He's 28 years of age, linked up with Pirates from NPFL a longer period of time, and finally left as a free agent. It's been more like recycling around the continent of Africa and not being able to. It's been more like recycling around the continent of Africa and not being able to leave the shores of Africa. Now with a Libyan side, Al Shamour, maybe on the continent. I think I haven't heard much about them. Do not know whether they've actually played there, but I have to do findings. But yes, the man has officially joined a new club side. Is it actually, of course, progressional for him, or maybe seeing it in the light of, going back in terms of the quality of teams he's actually played so far?
Well, I was not expecting him to move to a big club than Orlando Pirates. But remember, he's not really played a lot for Orlando Pirates in the recent for them. So it's been really sad. You cannot expect someone to play to move to Europe. Which club's going to come from? They're not club sides. It's just about finding his footing. He's 28 years of age, just like you've rightly said, and it's going to take a little bit of a miracle to see him move to Europe at this point in his career. It's going to be quite late for him. So at Al Shamour, it's just about finding his footing and seeing if he can get back to the level of fitness he used to be, possess at 23, 24. But now he's 28, definitely winding down. And Al Shamour might just be that place, obviously. Orlando Olisenda to play more games for Al Shamour, and then we can start talking about maybe moving to a more decent side in Africa.
Well, will he ever move down with the very fact that many would also look at his age and say, come on, looks like age is no longer in his side.
Exactly.
Will he ever move outside, of course, the shores of a continent?
You can never rule that away. I think at 20, we've seen what's his name, Fonudor move time and time again out of Nigeria. Maybe not to the top leagues, gone to Bangladesh and all of that, but still is moving out of Africa. So you can never tell for Olisenda. But I don't see a top club, a top league in Europe coming for the man to give out the English Premier League, the La Liga, the Serie A. I don't think that's going to happen at this point in his career. It's just about finding his footing and finding a way to stay fit.
Well, we're looking forward to what happens for the man. Talk about Olisenda. Now the new challenge for him in Libya, with the Libyan side, Al Shamour. We're looking forward to see what happens in the coming days. But with that, now we head straight to Europe and look at conversation in the coming days. But with that, now we head straight to Europe and look at conversations over there. It has about the English Carabao Cup second leg semi-final clash at the Etihad City. Rolled past Newcastle to officially qualify to the finals of the English Carabao. Langa's goal was just a mere consolation goal for this Newcastle side, as they were ready, of course, trailing prior to the start of the second leg of that clash at the Etihad Stadium. Now Pep Guardiola has another chance of a major silverware. He actually spoke about this particular Carabao Cup, and he said if we go on to win, then that would boost our morale in our title pursuit in the English Premier League. Now I've got a meeting with Arsenal next month?
Oh, I think it doesn't get bigger than this. You know, the first and second position in the English Premier League, meeting up in the cup final is definitely going to be a one for the ages. Manchester City not really been decent this season, but they've had games. They've had run of games where they've performed quite well. One of them is this Newcastle tie. They defeated them 2-0. You know, at the James Spark came to Etihad and thrashed for them, trying to win the league. For Manchester City, it would also be a good morale booster for them, trying to catch up with league leaders Arsenal at this point. So both sides desperately need the win. It's going to be next month, so still a lot of time for that. You cannot really tell who's going to win it from now, because fortunes might change by then. 22nd of March, that's towards the end of March. Injuries might occur and all of that. We might see Arsenal. Arteta's not laid his hands on a trophy for 6 years now. So this is his chance for Pep Guardiola. Finished last season trophyless. So he's going to try to do something quite handy for himself already. Not looking likely in the Champions League, since they have a very poor form. The Premier League, they are lagging behind Arsenal. So the Carabao Cup presents the most viable route for Manchester City to get a trophy. I'm expecting Pep Guardiola to also give it a good chase.
Well, Pep Guardiola has actually bemoaned the absence of the man Maguire. It's that any player that is not registered at the semi-final stage of this cup competition, before the semi-final stage of this cup competition, is not eligible to play in the semi-finals and in the finals, and that's why Maguire wasn't part of the game yesterday. But now we hear that Manchester City are set to appeal yet to know whether or not Maguire can feature in the finals of that Carabao Cup against Arsenal come later next month. Well, I do not know what happens at the moment, but if Maguire steps out, because if you look at the current situation of Manchester City's backline, it doesn't even look like bulk of the players who are out injured may likely return before that particular final. So the man Pep Guardiola now is actually shaking. He wants Maguire to feature in the game, and if he doesn't feature, it might just be a disaster for the City side.
Well, when you have Maguire in your side, you'd always want him to feature in top games, especially a game against Arsenal. Arsenal are one of the best teams in the world at the moment, and you need one of your best defenders on the field of play. Well, unfortunately for Manchester City, I think it's not just now the rules that it's been here for ages.
Absolutely.
But for me, I think it doesn't make sense, because in cup competitions like the Champions League, Europa League, and all of that, registering a player for the group stages of the competition, when it gets to the knockout phases, it changes. You can register afresh.
Yeah.
So now
another window was given to register. That's why Antoine Semenyo is playing, because he was registered before the semi-finals.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe for Maguire, I don't know, but I'm sure Manchester City would definitely, appreciate the fact that he gets to play for them in the final. But Ruben Dias returned yesterday. He was on the bench as well. So maybe that could also. We're talking about March 22nd. So. Maybe, just maybe, one more player gets to return. Maybe Pep Guardiola will be calm. But for now, I'm sure he needs Maguire back on the pitch for Manchester City.
Well, we're looking forward to what happens in this particular game, especially for Pep Guardiola's side, who is also really in search of a silverware. He didn't have that all through last season, and this season we're halfway of it already. And if he gets that, maybe could also be a boost, just like he mentioned before the semi-final clash against Newcastle. There could be extra motivation to go through streets and compete for the English Premier League title. But away from that now, things has been happening in the Saudi Pro League. Yesterday, we actually, of course, just made a punch about it, but we didn't extensively look at the conversation. The last game for Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr side, Cristiano Ronaldo did not feature, and this has actually sparked a whole lot of question marks as regards what happened. Why the absence of Cristiano Ronaldo for Al Nassr? Well, the conversation is about the fact that the man revolted and was extremely angry that the Saudi investment fund are actually paying some level of focus to the other side than Al Ittihad. And as a matter of fact, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo plays for Al Nassr. The man is furious that the Saudi Pro League Investment Fund is investing more money in the current champions. I've forgotten their name now. The current champions, Al Hilal, of Saudi Arabia, because Karim Benzema recently moved from Al Ittihad to Al Hilal, and the man, of course, felt that he should have actually moved to Al Nassr. That the opposing team have got more quality than the Al Nassr side. And according to reports we're getting, we hear that Cristiano Ronaldo is set to boycott his second Al Nassr game, still in the protest of the PIF. And at the moment, we do not know when exactly he will return back to football. If we continue to have this back and forth, then both parties may just be left with one decision than to go separate ways.
Definitely. I've looked at the whole issue surrounding Ronaldo and the PIF. There's one thing that stands out for me. Ronaldo is complaining about other teams getting more players. But when you look at the wage structure at Al Nassr, Ronaldo's wage structure alone accounts for all the salaries of players in Al Hilal. So I think you should understand. Yes, we don't have FFP rules in Saudi Arabia League for some whatever reasons. I don't know why. But I feel you have to balance the books most times, because Ronaldo already is earning a lot of money, at Al Nassr, so they're trying to balance it. At Al Hilal, we barely have players. They were talking about Karim Benzema being the biggest player who's just joined. Marcus Leonardo just moved from the club side, so we're talking about
Ruben Neves.
Exactly, those are the players there. But at Al Nassr, we've got Sadio Mane, we've got João Felix, we've got Cristiano Ronaldo. So I understand his frustrations that this particular generation, so they didn't get any player. They got just one player, which is a homegrown player who is probably joining the academies. The man is 21 years of age. But Al Hilal has done business for 6 players in January transfer window. So maybe that's the reason why Cristiano Ronaldo is angry. But he has to understand that to get players, you need to have space in the wage books, because you cannot get players when you cannot afford to pay them. Yes, we have one particular agency controlling 3 clubs. The PIF control Al Hilal, they control Al Nassr, they control Al Ahly as well. Yeah. So, which is why I don't even understand what's going on in that league. But hopefully they get to resolve the issue.
Well, does this actually speak about the quality of the league? Because I'm actually having a picture of what if it happened in Europe. Will Ronaldo actually revolt and stop playing matches just because that club side couldn't get players into the side?
That's the thing. I've never seen a player revolting because the club did not get players. It's almost the work of a coach to complain that you're not getting players for me, and the coach is not complaining.
We hear he tried stopping the Karim Benzema move, but it didn't just happen. So it shows the influence of Cristiano. So it's more like we're playing for fun. Basically, because I'm also looking at the level of professionalism in the team. What happens in that league exactly?
Definitely, yeah. I think Cristiano Ronaldo is just he's more like an ambassador for the Saudi league now. He's big. He's big enough, not just then the capacity of a player. So that's what gives him the right. That's what gives him the audacity to do such things. Because I doubt any player in Europe, even Lionel Messi when he was playing in Europe, will not stop playing because Barcelona didn't sign a player. So it's very surprising, but hopefully they get to resolve the issue.
We're looking forward to what happens now after he misses the second consecutive game for Al Nassr. Well, one man, Eloni from Real Madrid, still scoring goals left, right and center, and I'm talking about Hendrich. But the man scored the Coupe de France game yesterday for Lyon to propel Lyon to another, of course, massive victory right here. Yes, it's now made it 5 goals in 5 games after that stunning strike as Lyon defeated Laval 2-0 to reach the Coupe de France quarterfinals just yesterday. Well, funny, looks like this man is enjoying himself. And I could recall before he joined Lyon, he emphatically stated that he took the advice of Carlo Ancelotti, his former manager, to move straight to Lyon. And now it looks like he's already paying dividends. And maybe before we start talking about the FIFA World Cup, if he continues this way, then Carlo Ancelotti has no choice than to include him in the Brazil squad.
Well, I think Hendrik is definitely going to make it to the World Cup. He's been called up for the last few friendlies when Carlo Ancelotti was coach of Real Madrid. So I think now that he's playing again and scoring goals, he'll definitely make it to the World Cup. I don't see any other player knock him out of that list. But I think it also shows why, as young talent, you should be very careful about where you move to. Hendrik was scoring goals for fun in the Brazilian league. Why move to Real Madrid? Real Madrid is a step higher, and you were just 21. By that time, he was still a teenager. So I look at Hendrik and I see him flourishing at Lyon. It was always going to happen. If he had moved to a team of Lyon starters first, probably by now would now have the suitors, the big suitors coming for him. But he first of all made that move to Real Madrid. Stayed lots of years on the bench, and now we see him flourish. I just hope he gets to make the right decision, not go back to Real Madrid. Maybe stay longer in Europe, mainstream Europe for now. Before maybe 25, he can get to return to Real Madrid. Because as of now, I don't see him. Even though he scores 100 goals in the league with Lyon in the French league, I don't see him, breaking into that Real Madrid first 11. So he still has to do more to prove himself.
Well, Inter Milan qualified for the Italian Cup semi-finals yesterday after they defeated their opponents to advance and to the next stage. It ended 2-1 in favor of Inter Milan against Torino, and they have now qualified to the semi-finals of the Italian Cup. Well, at the moment, it looks like a very good run of form for Inter Milan in the Italian Serie A. They are actually top of the Italian Serie A table, and now they have qualified to the next stage of the cup game in that particular series. And it might just be maybe another season where they get to win another, of course, silverware. Might not be the Scudetto, but then the Coppa Italia is still part and insights for the side. Atalanta would face Juventus much later to at 9 p.m. and it would be the quarterfinals of the Coppa Italia much later today. We're looking forward to see what happens in that particular fixture as well. Well, Atletico Madrid also have a game later today as well, and reports we're getting is that the coach of Atletico Madrid has hinted that Ademola Lookman may just be in contention to also play parts in that particular game. Well, when you have a star man, it definitely shows, and that's what, of course, Atletico Madrid are looking forward to later today. They will play Real Betis in the Spanish Copa del Rey at 9 p.m. Nigerian time. Well, not so often you get a player, join the side just a few days before a match day, and the coach is already saying, come on, he has to play. I'm actually looking at the picture under Ruben Amorim's tutelage. If you had to join, even missing one preseason game, you may not even play the next 5-6 matches.
Yeah.
But here's Ademola Lookman. Looks like the man trusted him, and he feels he can actually deliver.
Well, I think it's the best match to help the man to cut his teeth in a La Liga team, because the next match is going to be a league game.
Yeah.
So now it's a cup game, not really of much consequence. So definitely Ademola Lookman should start today, or maybe even come off the bench to play, because it's going to get tougher from here, because the next match is going to be a league game. So I'm looking for Ademola Lookman to maybe impressing Diego Simeone, because Atletico Madrid is going to be much more difficult than Atalanta. He has to fight with lots of top players, the likes of Julian Alvarez. I don't even know if the man Diego Simeone would have to tweak his formation, because currently he plays a 4-4-2, likes playing two strikers up front. So I wonder how that would accommodate Ademola Lookman, but I just hope that he gets to find a footing in this Atletico Madrid team.
Well, of course, before we talk about other stories in the other sports, yes, just a few days ago, Raheem Sterling was being released by Chelsea, and he's now a free agent. But then conversations were getting us that Napoli are in Turks to get the man Raheem Sterling to play in the Italian Serie A. Well, there were actually conversations last summer about Napoli's interest in Raheem Sterling, but his wages and the fact that he was under contract was also one of the reasons why Napoli couldn't get him. But now the man fancies a reunion back with Kevin De Bruyne. Yes, you remember they played together at some point at Manchester City before leaving. He, of course, wants to go to Italy and rejuvenate his career. Don't forget, he hasn't played for Chelsea since returning from loan from Arsenal. And at the moment, it looks like the man may just be having another football club. Well, when this man was actually released by Chelsea, it almost looked like there won't be any top club, gunning for the man's signature. I was actually looking at maybe a club in a lower, division, that's the Championship, or maybe a club that is also, struggling to survive relegation in the English Premier League. But a Napoli side who are actually also part of being one of the sides that are pushing for the Italian Serie A title are looking for Raheem Sterling. And typical of Antonio Conte, most times he goes for older players. And here is Raheem Sterling. It just looks like the man is attracting interest from a top European club side.
Well, I think it shows the quality of the man is it's there. It speaks for him. You look at the
for a man that hasn't played for some time now.
Doesn't matter. You can't really write off the fact that Raheem Sterling has always contributed a lot when he's in form. So if Napoli can bring out the best Raheem Sterling out of him, I think it's going to be good for Napoli. Look at Scott McTominay, wasn't really doing so well for Manchester United. Look at how he's revitalized himself at Napoli. So I don't really see a reason why Napoli shouldn't go for the man. He's a good player on his day. Some would say age has caught up with him, but we still yet to see that. He barely played last season. We've not really seen him in action this season as well. So let's see if Napoli would be the club that would revitalize the career of Raheem Sterling.
Well, of course, we're looking forward to see what happens when he finally joins. What will happen? Will it be Raheem Sterling, of course, playing on a consistent basis and also showing some sparks of brilliance? Well, until he joins, we'll have another conversation about that. But here we'll draw the curtains on football conversations. When we return after the short break, we'll be looking at other stories in the exciting world of sports. Do stay with us. Welcome back. It is still Sports Central right here, but let's quickly look at all the conversations in the world of sports. Starting off with the world of tennis, particularly. Well, we have some top-level events that are currently up and running. One in Montpellier, the Open Occitanie, where Stan Wawrinka defeated Medvedev for historic win in Montpellier, becoming one of the oldest players to play in this competition. The man is over 40, but is still playing active tennis. He's emphatically stated that this year will be his last year as a professional tennis player. So we're looking forward to what happens for the man Stan Wawrinka. But it just looks like he might just actually provide another chance of getting one more title before he finally calls it quit in 2026.
Oh, definitely. I think if there's any championship for Wawrinka to do something for himself, it's definitely the one in Montpellier, because we don't really have lots of superstars here. So something for him to do for himself. Over 40, last ATP season, and I would say it's he's had a good career, an illustrious career, lots of accolades for him, and now he's trying to end it on a good note. It's going to be better if he wins at least one ATP Tour title this year, and where else to do that in Montpellier. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses from here.
Well, of course, Kovacevic halted 16-year-old Kwame's breakthrough bid. If you can recall, we talked about Kwame, yes, a youngster, particularly from France, being part of this particular competition, but now he's been booted out. Manarino also saved 3 match points against Humbert to advance to the next stage. But then we hear that Alexander Zverev have withdrawn from Rotterdam Open. Well, what's of course about Zverev, because I also recall, was it yesterday we talked about Carlos Alcaraz, and now Alexander Zverev. Carlos Alcaraz was about rest due to some fixture congestion. But what is it about Zverev?
Well, I think it's the same thing. They're trying to pick the competitions to participate in. Zverev has not competed at this Rotterdam since 2023, so it looks like it's not really been prioritizing it right from start. So it's just another season. No Rotterdam for Alexander Zverev.
Well, we're looking forward to see what happens now for some of these superstars who are sitting out of some top-level competitions. But Emma Raducanu battled back from 5-0 down to beat a certain Juvan. Emma Raducanu, typical of her in recent times, she just recently changed her coach. But now this particular victory might just be what's and all she needed to, of course, scale through and keep winning games left, right, and center at the Transylvania Open. In Abu Dhabi, Eller came from 4-love down, a safe match point, a dramatic second-round win, while still in Abu Dhabi, Batis won quite a topsy-turvy contest with Navarro to make it to the quarters of this particular competition. But just before we talk about other conversations now, we hear that Venus Williams have accepted wildcard into the ATX Open in Austin. I do not know what this lady is actually looking for at this time, because I think she has lost 6 straight matches since the start. Was it since the start of last year? Or since she started, of course, competing as a wildcard in major competitions? And now, here is Venus Williams once again after retiring.
Well, I think she's not looking to win anything. She's just trying to stay active and keep her body in shape. So, where else to do that? At some most of these competitions, I hear Serena Williams is also thinking about coming back as well. So, you can never tell. It's just about staying fit for both of them. They know they cannot compete against the top superstars in the world right now. So, definitely, I feel it's about staying fit for Venus Williams.
Well, we also hear Zabalenka pulled out of the Qatar Open in Doha. Of course, another conversation. Zabalenka made it to the Aussie Open finals, where she unfortunately lost to Kazakhstan, Elena Rybakina. But at the moment, she doesn't want to be part of the Doha competition in Qatar. Away from that, now straight to the world of basketball, where we hear that stakeholders are seeking FIBA approval for NBBF election. But it has been some a power rancor, particularly in the Nigerian Basketball Federation, with some cross-section of the executive saying, come on, the tenure of who is actually the president has expired. We should have, a fresh election that sticks from now till around 2030. And we're here to hear whether or not the International Basketball, Federation will respond to that particular, plea by the NBBF. Away from that, we hear Taekwondo Federation have unveiled, the calendar for grassroots focus in 2026. There have been several competitions that have been rolled out by the Taekwondo Federation. And all of these competition is actually, seated with unveiling and unearthing young talents in 2026. We're looking forward to all of these competitions. We'll follow it keenly as it comes. Well, straight to the NBA games where there were some games, but before then, we hear the Dallas Mavericks have traded Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards. And this news came as a surprise for me because Anthony Davis just last season,
that blockbuster move,
moved, and Luka Doncic moved to the LA Lakers. So what's happening at the moment? Because many actually thought that he's the replacement of Luka Doncic, who went to the LA Lakers.
Well, he's barely played for the Mavericks, and the Mavericks.
Is it a case of form or injury?
I don't really know. I think it's more likely to do with injury. He was injured when he made that move.
Couldn't play some games.
He came back at some point, was not really being able to play consistently for the Mavericks. The Mavericks were saying, come on, it's time to counter losses on this particular deal because he's earning a humongous amount of money.
Washington Wizards, is that not, of course, the telling of his career? Because we're looking at the Wizards side. They're not going
then he's going to be like the king, so let him go there. Maybe he would get to enjoy life at Washington.
King of losers, eventually. The Bulls have actually sent Kobe White, McConley to Hornets for Colin Sexton and Usman Dieng. Here's the conversation. There have been so many traded deals. So we hear the Sixers deal Jared McCann to the Oklahoma City Thunder for 4 draft picks. The Warriors trading Jonathan Kuminga as well. Booty held to Hawks for Kristaps Porzingis. Well, that should be quite an interesting move. Maybe we'll get a look at it extensively later tomorrow. We hear other games actually happen in the NBA. The Knicks defeated the Nuggets 134 to 127, while the Timberwolves get past the Raptors 128 to 126. The Celtics swept past the Rockets 114 points to 93 points. There's still conversations. We'll have to look more about it later tomorrow. But we'll draw the curtains here onto this edition of Sports Central. Thank you very much for being part of the show. But thank you also for joining.
A pleasure as always.
We'll return tomorrow for more in the exciting world of sports. Have fun and stay out of trouble. Bye for now.